And my next guest, with the support of the Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, is preparing investigations into the political bias at the FBI that targeted President Trump. Joining me now is the head of the Senate Judiciary Committee, Lindsey Graham. All right, Senator, on the theme of repercussions, in both of these cases, can we expect the DOJ's full involvement?
Yeah, I think so. I think Bill Barr is a man of the Department of Justice. This has been his life's work, and I think he's very disappointed and concerned by the way the FBI handled the FISA warrant application, the counterintelligence investigation, and he's going to be very supportive of looking to find out how this got off the rails.
A lot of folks, when they approach me, I'm traveling around the country, I'm sure you get the same thing. People say, how does Hillary's people, how do they manage to smash BlackBerries? How do they unmask all of these Americans with probably dubious reasons? Right. How is the UN ambassador unmasking, like Samantha Power? Like, how is this all happening? There's never any repercussions. But what do you say to them just on that score?
Well, one, let's find somebody to prove that it did happen we all trust. You know, Mueller, I stood behind him because I thought he was a fair guy. A lot of people on our side thought he was in a witch hunt. I didn't, quite frankly. But the president's been vindicated. Let's take somebody like Mueller to ask these questions. Did they get a FISA warrant by using compromised, bogus information?
Well, they did, didn't they?
I think so, yeah. But let somebody other than Lindsey Graham and Laura Ingraham say it. Let's find somebody of the stature of Mueller to look at the other side of the story, because if they find something, I want people to believe it's based on the evidence, not politics.
Is Bill Barr now looking into the possibility of appointing another special counsel?
I am urging him for one simple reason. This is an emotional event. Most Republicans believe they were out to get Trump. Most people think that Strzok and Page and McCabe and Comey wanted Clinton to win and Trump to lose, and they took the law in their own hands. If that's true, it's horrible. Let's find somebody that can tell us if it's true, take the appropriate action. I think it's very important to have a Mueller-like figure.
Well, I know what you think, that, but you've had conversations with Barr. I know you had dinner with him the other night. Is he approaching that decision? Is there a timetable in which he'll make that decision?
I think he's going to look at what happened, and the question for him, should it be me and the professionals here inside the building, or should I get somebody outside the system? It's not a question of how, if he looks, it's how he looks.
Well, they're attacking him now. They're trashing his credibility on the left. They're saying that he's just a political actor, that Mueller shouldn't have trusted him to make that obstruction decision. I've never heard of someone who is a Bush attorney general. Everyone's, elevating the Bushes now for a variety of reasons, but I've never heard anyone attack Bill Barr in his professionalism until the left got into their multiple stages of grief here.
Well, so like Adam Schiff has become the new Oliver Stone of the House. There's nothing will ever satisfy them. Bill Barr is one of the greatest people to ever serve in the Department of Justice, highly respected on both sides of the aisle until Trump got to be president. The point I'm making is, let's have somebody that maybe we can find, like a Mueller, to look at the other side.
Now, let's talk about a man who you probably wouldn't recommend take over this investigation, Jim Comey. He was on NBC tonight. Yeah, he was last seen gazing up at the redwoods. Looked like a lineup to me, Lindsey. Anyway, so he was on NBC tonight commenting. Let's watch.
If there are questions that haven't been answered in the hours and hours and hours of testimony I've given, of course I'll answer them. I want it all done in the light of day, though. No more secret depositions. Public hearings serve the public interest. And so if there are questions to be asked about how we handle this investigation or any other, let me know when you want me.
No, he's ready.
Okay, so one is going to be in public, and I'm going to give you a heads up. But one of the questions I'm going to ask you, did Bruce Ohr tell you you shouldn't trust Christopher Steele? And how much time and attention did you put into verifying the dossier before you certified to the court that it was reliable? So there you go. Think about it. Come to the committee here soon, and you'll give me the answer in public. You will testify, my friend, in public, not behind closed doors, and you will answer for your time as FBI director.
Now, I want to get your take on another event that happened to one of your former colleagues, Senator Joe Biden. Now, he seems poised to launch a presidential bid,
right.
But like a lot of the Democratic candidates, he has to say he's sorry about a lot of what he did. Now, here he's attempting to apologize for how Anita Hill, my old boss Clarence Thomas, confirmation hearings. Let's watch.
There are a bunch of white guys. She faced a committee that didn't fully understand what the hell it was all about. To this day, I regret I couldn't come up with a way to get her the kind of hearing she deserved.
He's a good guy. If he's not proud of the life he's lived, why should we make him president? I mean, if you really have to apologize for most of the things you've done in your political life, why should we pick you for being president?
But I think his comment is actually racially charged. And when I say that, I think by saying if it's a panel of white men, you can't be fair.
Here's Joe's
What is
problem.
that? That is judging someone based on race. I thought we weren't supposed to do that.
The problem is that the party of Joe Biden's dead, and he's trying to find a way in the new party. In the new party, you have to apologize because if you're a white guy, you can't possibly be fair. This is what's going to undercut him because I like Joe Biden. I like the real Joe Biden. I think he's been wrong on policy, but what he's doing now is putting in question whether or not he's authentic. Do you really believe he thinks that this apology is sincere? Or is he just trying to position himself for political advantage? I think he's apologizing to get an advantage in a crazy primary.
Lindsey Graham, it is so great to see you. Don't be a stranger. Thanks for staying up late. Now, this may seem strange to you, but I'm here tonight to counsel Democrats, to help them. Yes, you heard right, to help. Since the Mueller report was handed down, millions of liberals across America have been suffering from a profound sense of loss. These feelings at times seem overwhelming.
Calm down. Breathe, Ron. Breathe.
The man! That's from the motorcycle!
What did the bad man do, Ron?
I'm in a glass case of emotion!
Oh, bless their hearts. After all, they have invested so much of themselves and their futures in Robert Mueller taking down the president. They named their dogs after him. They lit candles for him. They even wore his name. They venerated him. And they gave him thanks.
Thank you, Robert Mueller, and everyone working to make sure that we have sovereignty for the United States of America.
You see, Mueller wasn't just a special prosecutor to Democrats. He was a deity, a Messiah-like figure who would deliver them from the evil of Trump and wash away the sin of the 2016 election. Let's face it, even though built on rage, this was a religion for the left. And now, with the results in and Mr. Mueller returning to private life, leftists of all ages are asking themselves, who will replace him? What to look forward to now that it's all over? How to go back to normal life without the excitement of the investigation unfolding day after day? What will fill the void? Well, recovery won't be easy, I'm not going to lie to you. Because for Democrats, the end of this investigation is akin to the death of a loved one. They'll need to develop coping mechanisms and do a lot of interior work. Only then will the Trump haters be able to put their loss into perspective and then move on. Authors David Kessler and Elizabeth Kubler-Ross have written a number of books about coping with tragic loss. They broke it down into 5 stages. We see the Democrats and the Trump haters working their way through the grieving process. Stage 1, denial.
I don't buy that he's completely exonerated the way he just said.
Well, after 2 years, if you still have questions and you still can't answer that question, it's not good enough to say, well, you decide whether or not he's actually committed a crime.
This is the start of something, apparently, not the end of something.
There's so much that needs to be, taken a look at this point.
There is a big difference between whether there's evidence of collusion, and I think that evidence is in plain sight.
And after denial comes stage 2, anger.
Why was there never an interrogation of this president? How can they let Trump off the hook?
In any other standard, the person would have been arrested, they would have been polygraphed, and they would have been put out or brought to trial.
There is not an African-American person in this country that could have been investigated for 22 months, had their family investigated for 22 months, and come away scot-free.
It feels like the seeds of a cover-up are here.
Let it all out. It's okay. We understand. You spent 2 years living in a fantasy world of your own making. After anger comes perhaps grief's most embarrassing stage, where they try to convince themselves that up is down, black is white, and Trump is guilty. It's called bargaining.
The Mueller report will ultimately get out, and there will be very damaging information in that for the president.
That was a finding, and the government, Mueller did not exonerate this presidency.
We have to be careful about what we think that this says, and it doesn't mean that Trump is free and clear.
Well, bargaining, that stage, is sort of the last gasp of a dying fantasy. But the fact is, Mueller did not find any evidence of much of the ballyhoo Trump collusion with Russia. It just didn't happen. I know, it's hard. Which brings us to stage 4, depression.
This weekend, we received some troubling news. Our president is not a Russian asset.
Obviously, right now, we have mostly just a ton of questions as to what Mueller's report says, how complete it is, who gets to see it, who gets to decide who gets to see it, and when.
There is an honest level of sadness and disappointment and disorientation among progressives and Democrats. And I think it goes deeper than just, what's in the report.
As sad as it is, the next level of grief is perhaps the most important. Stage 5, acceptance. And this is where liberals are in real trouble, because for them, there is no acceptance of the Mueller findings. There can't be. So they opt instead for vengeance.
Attorney General Barr should be required to testify before the United States Congress under oath.
He should come before the United States Congress. I do not deeply respect and trust the Barr summary.
I will certainly recommend that we bring Bob Mueller in to testify, that we take it to court if necessary.
Okay, so many of them just will not accept this loss. But Rebecca Dudley certainly does. Remember, she was the woman who co-created this button and sold more than 48,000 of them to liberals all over the country. Who said faith was dead? She told the New York Times this week of the Mueller report that, quote, she knew there was no way anything could live up to 2 years of hype. So she's thinking of creating a new button to restore hope in the hearts of leftists everywhere. It'll read SDNY, as in Southern District of New York, which I think may take them all the way back to the first stage of grief, denial. And that's the angle.